Most people think.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of What Most People Think. McSweeney, da, 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 da. So we're recording this, and you know that politicians or regimes are in trouble when political comedy podcasts timestamp everything. So it's Monday and it's 11:01, and Keir Starmer is, as of this moment, still the Prime Minister. Morgan McSweeney isn't the Chief of Staff because he went yesterday, and boy am I glad that I've got Tom Walker, a.k.a. Tom Walker, okay?
Oh, Jeff, thank you. Thank you. You're the first person ever.
Definitely not Jonathan Pye. It's so good to have you on the show. I mean, yesterday, look, if you're a political nerd, this may be relevant, but maybe not to normal people. But will you always remember where you were when you heard that Morgan McSweeney had stepped down?
To be honest, I've been really following it, obviously, all week. And yesterday I was just not in a news mode and was watching movies, and I just saw it on Insta and went, oh, okay, and read about it for 5 minutes. I was like, do you know what? It's a Sunday. I'll deal with this on Monday. And then I got a text from you going, do you want to do my show tomorrow? I was like, yeah, I'll deal with this tomorrow then. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Bit of therapy. I mean, one thing I've noticed of late with your critiques of Starmer is on Threads. You know, you're big on Threads. You're one of about 4 people who is. Yeah. And you critique Starmer, but there's a lot of lefties on there that really aren't willing to accept. There's quite a lot of Starmer fans on there, and they really get angry with you for pointing out that the government aren't having the best of times.
Yeah, I mean, it's anyone can look at, even if you think Starmer's good or whatever, you can't look at what's been going on for the last 18 months and go, they are brilliant and this is what I voted for. The problem is the minute I don't have a go at Starmer, everyone's having a go at me. You can have a go at Starmer. And the minute I do have a go at Starmer, everyone's like, well, you voted for it. It's like, I didn't vote for Mandelson.
No. Do you know what? That's a very good point. Is what this government currently is, and probably what they're likely to be if he stays, is actually something that no one voted for. What they offered was a very benign, vanilla, kind of no tax rise type government. And it's sort of pivoted to a chaotic, soft left tax and spend government.
Also, the one word that was their campaign was change. And you go, there doesn't seem to be that much change. I mean, I am hoping Keir Starmer goes, right? Because then at least whoever replaces him, I can go, see, I didn't vote for that. And suddenly Pye's got his teeth again, you know?
Sweet. Well, listen, we are, of course, going to get into all of that. One last thing on the sort of social media reaction is that it has been interesting to watch people that happily spoke about Partygate for 6 months, uninterrupted, every day. And then, after 3 days of Mandel Starmer, they were going, oh, can we just move on? There's a country. Can we just please? I mean, there must be more important things facing the country.
Let's just move on, guys. It's basically what Trump's doing.
Oh,
right?
yeah, that famous thing that he once said about Epstein. Are we still talking about that? What, the paedophile with an island? Yeah. Yes, we are.
I'm loving that thing that's been going around all week, but it's that Trump is mentioned in the Epstein files more times than Harry Potter is mentioned in Harry Potter, and more times than Jesus is mentioned in the Bible. But nothing to see here. See here.
I suppose you can understand a little bit of the press's reticence with Trump's being so lawyer happy, but you do feel that, it will be a slower process if there is a reckoning for Donald Trump. We are also going to talk about, some people said to me, Jeff, you don't talk about woke nonsense anymore. I would say there's slightly less of it. I mean, ever since the landmark ruling on biological sex and, ever since pretty much everyone has accepted that legal and non-legal migration needs to come down. Of course, institutionally, there are still things happening that qualify with that. But just to throw some red meat, Tom, to the people that need to hear about woke nonsense. It was I saw that theme parks were getting stick for cancelling ADHD and anxiety as a reason to get a free queue jump pass. So I think that is absolutely right for us to have a chat about. And in the Patron only, I might slightly change from what I texted you yesterday. I want to talk about Bad Bunny. Did you see that he did the Super Bowl?
I watched a few minutes of it, but I'm sure I'll be able to.
It's in the Patron only, mate. So whatever, if you say something that's ill-informed or bigoted. It's it's a much smaller audience. But he did it completely in Spanish, and Donald Trump says like it was an affront to America. And I haven't agreed with much Trump said recently, but I do think him doing the whole performance in Spanish was a big shout, and we'll get into that. Okay, piss take prices. I don't know if you've done it, Tom, since we've been doing the piss take prices.
No, I've just been, but I don't think I've ever been on your podcast and done what you've asked me to do. But just as you were saying, and then you go, fuck. Well,
listen, I've got plenty, so you can react to these because I did a post over the weekend. Oh, by the way, some days everyone is just cross, and I posted it, and like there's been so much rain. I think people are just fucking angry. Yeah. More political instability, and one of the things that I said was, the price of Yorkshires on a Sunday roast being £3 at certain places.
I saw that. I saw your post, like an addition. Like you don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the point of a roast, is to get all the fucking trimmings. You don't.
I would have thought so. Yeah. I would. It's not just like the verb. Oh yeah, we've roasted the meat and everything else costs money. And I mentioned pet insurance, and then this guy, like how vegans can sometimes get their veganism into anything. He goes. Well, on the first point, you're killing animals, and on the second, you're paying to save animals. So maybe think about that. I was like, oh fuck off! I literally went out and kicked an animal.
Well, I can talk about Piss Take Britain in this regard, but it's quite embarrassing that I have to do this. My cat it's the most expensive cat in the world. Luckily, I've got insurance now. But sometimes it can't shit. So I need to give my cat laxatives every day. Fun times. But the vet did tell me this, but he said, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but basically you can give it human laxatives because the cat laxatives comes in this tiny little bottle that's about 50 quid. And a big litre of laxatives from Superdrug is about £4.50. It just means that my local Superdrug think I have serious bowel issues, because one time I went in there and went, it's for my cat, and they went, can't sell it to you. But vet prices and cats, basically.
I think you could be the Martin Lewis for cat anal issues.
Happily.
Tightly focused. A lot of people, however, I didn't mean that. Didn't mean to do that.
It worked, though. It worked. So
Steve said to me that he went to Toby Carvery on Boxing Day, and they charge for pigs in blankets. I mean, if a Toby Carvery are taking the piss, then what hope the rest of us?
That's mad. That's the point of a Toby Carvery, is that you sell it cheap, pile it high. Literally pile it high.
And then also I had one from a guy called Toady, who said, I think he used to be in Neighbours.
Toadfish, yeah.
Toadfish. He went to a pub called the Blue Ball in North Devon. And of course, there's always right of reply Blue Ball and it can't be called the Blue Ball. Fuck off.
Like a ball or a boar, a pig or a ball. Blue balls. Hitler's one blue ball.
There's a lot of uptight guys in there. And he said it was £11 for a Scotch egg. There's been a lot of talk of excessively priced bars, more than bar snacks like sausage rolls and stuff like that. Is it because they just realised after 3 pints, I think, that you'll pay anything just to get some meat inside you?
What annoys me, this is a piss take, it's when... Have you got any bar snacks? Yeah, we've got, no, I just want crisps or bacon fries or something, blah, blah. No, but we have got a Kilner jar full of nuts, and we've got a tiny little scoop and an even smaller ramekin. And, when they just spoon, you go, no, I just want a packet of fucking crisps. £6.50, please, for a ramekin of nuts.
Nobby's Nuts would do it every time. But the one that really caught my eye, sorry, I didn't have a name for this guy, but he said that his pub are doing £3 to rent the darts, to play darts in a pub. I mean, some of this stuff is starting to feel un-British, Tom. If there was a kind of British-style MAGA movement at a cultural level, charging for Yorkshires and charging to rent the darts feels very un-British. Feels like sort of, why do you hate the troops?
Is this Starmer's Britain? Because we have heard quite a lot about how pubs are being pushed out of existence. And I was reading something the other day about pubs, and I'd never really thought about it this way, about how kind of uniquely British they are. I know other places do them, but there is something about it. And it's like really important to our national identity and to sort of weirdly, without being too much of a wanker about it, but like the mental health of a nation, to be able to go and have a pint. And I don't know, there's something about it. And it's been completely thought of as
expendable, you know. And then they sort of say, well, the coffee shops and the new pubs, fuck off. Costa, I'm sorry to slate the brand, one of the worst brand when have you ever got, oh, that was a really nice time in a Costa?
Love that Costa, yeah.
But like a pub, imagine, it's so important with tourism as well in the city centres, because imagine you come from like, you know, like Shipburg, Pennsylvania, and then you sit in a place and you're having a pint, which just sounds British, in a building that is 700 years old. That's fucking, that's a big cultural heritage there.
Well, if you put it like that, £4 for a Yorkshire pudding, it's not bad.
Actually, yeah, they need to jack those prices up. New patrons, remember, if you are a patron, you get the podcast early, ad-free, and with bonus content. And also advanced notice for guest lists for my Radio 4 record. So I'm doing one in March in Newcastle and one in Leeds, and I'm just in the process of contacting the various tiers of the patrons. And so you just get your name on the list, guest list. We do have 2 new patrons. We've got, well, I'm going to do these names together, Tom, because they feel like they come as a pair. Billsy and Dave Tilford. Billsy and Dave Tilford.
Those are the sort of people you go to a pub for.
Yes.
Billsy. Is Billsy down there tonight? Yeah,
they're like the British Norman Cliff out of Cheers.
Yeah.
And they'll get you a dodgy fire stick as well.
And who's, I won't tell you who it was, but someone I know has been taking a Zempic, and I was like, oh my God, you're looking fucking amazing. Where did you get that from? Was it on the NHS? It's like, oh no, bought it off a bloke in the pub. So Dave Tilford does a good line in Fat Jabs.
That's why they're having to charge extra for the sausage rolls at the bar. No one's eating them anymore. They're all on.
Yeah, no one's eating them. No one's drinking. They're just going in there for, you know.
They're all on Dave Tilford's Ozempic. The main talking point, our super patron who responds to previous week's episode, said it was great to have Dominic Frisby back on, a sagacious voice and entertaining as ever. And David's talking about our comments regarding how raising tax doesn't raise revenue. And, you know, this thing called the Laffer curve, which I'm sure as a lefty you think is a myth, Tom. But
God, that sounds like a cracking, hilarious episode.
It observes that there is a sweet spot, a tax rate where revenue is optimal. I mean, it is the problem with the left, Tom, is just there's so much that is done. Because it feels good to say. So just, you know, tax the rich. I've always said, I want to tax the rich. Do I want more of rich people's money? Yes. Do I think taking it might mean that I get less in the long run? Also fucking yes. So, but anyway, look, Angela Rayner's probably going to be Prime Minister soon, so she's going to Laffer the curve out of existence. She will not. There's been a clip doing the rounds of her with Andrew Neil, and basically,
I've seen that. Yeah.
I mean, she just. I don't know if she. I think she's not stupid. I think she knows what she's saying is bollocks. She's just like. So the clip is she's being asked about. So she's saying, well, the Tories gave corporation tax cuts for billionaires, and Andrew Neil counters by saying, well, actually, we've actually got more corporation tax now. And he repeatedly confronts her with this point. And you could just see that she's like, that's not that point that you're making. Well, factual is not convenient.
Was she in government at the time, or was this pre?
No, this was during the Corbyn years. But it's because she's...
Well, there you go, mate, because in opposition, you can say any old shit. And of course, it's surprising when someone... holds you to account. I don't know if this is true, but I saw it on Insta, but it was by some right winger. But I think Angela Rayner has deleted a tweet from a couple of years ago when Rishi Sunak or Liz Truss became Prime Minister. And she's like, you can't change Prime Minister. It's time to go to the polls. And she's deleted it. I wonder why.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny with Ange because she's had a glow up as well. I thought it was really smart of her. She doesn't say anything about what's going on, but she basically allows a video to be put out of her having a new haircut. And you're like, that's really interesting, really subtle. And I do think...
Is it a Maggie Thatcher boof? Is she sort of preparing for government?
It looks very similar to her old hair, but I think that there's a mess. It's just she's getting ready for something, God knows what. And she's also got in touch with HMRC to say she wants a swift resolution to her tax issue. So Lord only knows what's happening there. The thing with Angela Rayner criticisms is play the woman, right? All this stuff about her sitting in a dinghy vaping, I don't give a fuck about that. Right. Like, I don't understand the point that people are making there. Her lack of economic sort of instincts and credibility economically is the bigger issue. Her sitting vaping in a dinghy is exactly the sort of relatability we fucking need.
Yeah, but I mean, Miliband was brought down by a bacon sandwich, so vaping in a dinghy, you know.
Well, but was he? As I've long argued,
I do think without that front page, it was a sliding doors moment. I don't know if it changed the...
Right. So Rishi Sunak, in another multiverse, not using the umbrella, is actually a very bold and macho statement if he's already popular, right?
I know exactly what you mean. Yes.
So Ed Miliband and making an absolute fucking horror show of a bacon sandwich when he's, you know, popular and ready for... That photo doesn't even... It's because it confirms something we already felt. That's my view.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose if the headline has been sort of like, you know...
Man of the people day...
sort of eating on the go, ready for government, you know, sort
absolutely mullahs of bacon sarnie like one of us.
What most people think.
All right, the thank you and the fuck you. I want to say thank you. I was up gigging in the Northeast Saturday and Sunday. So I was in Stockton on Saturday. Like, unbelievable crowd there. So cool. And then Hexham on Sunday. It turns out Hexham is a really nice place and they just don't want anybody to know about it. This week on tour, it's another 4-date week, Tom. It's a big week. What have I got? I've got Spalding Wednesday, Loughborough Thursday, then Valentine's Day Massacre, Ipswich Corn Exchange. Be there. Outsource the conversation to a professional. And then on Sunday, and by that, if a couple on Valentine's Day don't have any ideas, they could basically buy a ticket to see me and let me do the conversation.
I see. I understand what you meant. Great. Yeah.
They've run out of stuff to talk about. Let a professional take over. And then Sunday night in Nottingham. But while I was up north, they are built different. I was going down an actual fucking A road, Tom, and I saw a woman on a mobility scooter on the fucking A road, like just trundling along in the road.
Welcome to the north. I mean, it's a different world.
I mean, what is her insurance? She was smoking as well, which just added to the
of course, and a can of tenants, of course.
Mother. And then also the fuck you is to, I saw a video basically, and it was in Poundland. And there was a guy doing that thing, you know, when they just go in with a bag and they just do a trolley dash of all the stuff that they want. And we're told that, you know, the staff aren't supposed to intervene. Well, not in this Poundland, Tom. First up, a lad, bearded lad, big fella, he intervenes. And then another bloke that works there with one arm chucks the guy out with one arm. Now,
did you see this? Were you there?
I love that you credit that I would be in a Poundland, and I fucking would if especially for shower gel. But see, you'd never see this on the Pride of Britain Awards, is what I'm saying.
No,
people should just pause this podcast, go watch Poundland One Arm Guy, and just tell me if your chest isn't full of fucking national pride after seeing that. You know, we should be shouldn't we be rewarding that sort of thing?
Yeah. I mean, I almost feel sorry for if you're shoplifting from Poundland, let them have it. Let them have it. It's not like you're not shoplifting from John Lewis. Just let them have it. And also, what's a pound? The difference between a pound and nothing.
Well, it would be fine if he was taking one thing, but he was
nothing land.
He was trying to, like, it's the way that they just clear the shelves. If they just discreetly went, all right, I'm gonna have like
I'm out of fairy liquid. Yeah,
and some cheese strings and, you know, some crackers. But it's the entitled way that they just sweep stuff into. I know obviously they've got to do it quickly because they're thieves, but yeah, I just think that guy, when we get to Pride of Britain Awards, it will probably be somebody that ran like a fucking choir for people with spatial awareness issues. But I think it should be for a one-armed guy. in power.
One-armed guy. I have thought of a fuck you. BBC's main headline today, because there's nothing really happening, is that William and Kate have declared that they are worried about the allegations in the Epstein files.
And that's the first public royal pronouncement on it.
Yeah. Just fuck you, fuck off, your uncle's a nonce. But just like, fuck off, I don't care what you think about it. You're part of the problem. Fucking fuck you.
Okay, we are now going to get fully into the chaos at the heart of government. So Morgan McSweeney resigns on Sunday after a week of speculation and scandal around the appointment of Peter Mandelson. I should say this, right? Now, there is rumours today in the press that Starmer was close to resigning on Friday. When I got in to do my Times radio show on Friday, there was a hive of activity, right? And it felt like there was a point in my show where my show might have become something very different, you know, which I just thought, oh, maybe people are just getting excited. But now I've heard the rumours today, maybe it corroborates that Starmer might have been on the brink. I mean, this is the guy that almost quit after he lost a fucking by-election in Hartlepool. So it stands to reason that he would have been considering his position now. And then Morgan McSweeney goes. And, you know, I don't know if the general public are going to be that aware of who Morgan McSweeney is or what he represents. But he was the political heart of the project, right? There's this famous thing that him and a cabal of sort of people on the Labour right chose Starmer. They sort of anointed him, but they also called him, if you heard this, the DLR, because he was like a driverless train, so they could basically make him go wherever they wanted.
I've not heard that, but it makes, that rings totally true.
Was he on your radar much before this week?
I'd heard of him, and obviously in the ensuing sort of because I think what was her name? Sue Gray was the first one, and then when he came in, I wonder whether he wanted Morgan McSweeney all along. Really, what he's been really good at is keeping quiet. Right, we haven't heard much about him. Whereas if you think of Alistair Campbell or he was Boris Johnson's fella, Cummings, you know, you kind of know that they're there, whereas this guy's sort of in the background. I think you're absolutely right that without McSweeney, Starmer wouldn't exist, right? Starmer was chosen by McSweeney, not the other way around. And what's kind of interesting and what's ended up playing out is that you think Starmer is a product of McSweeney, but McSweeney is a product of Mandelson. And that lineage is like you can actually sort of see it back, and therefore it was sort of inevitable. I mean, Starmer is right in the sense that McSweeney, I think, must have really pushed for Mandelson to be the ambassador, because I mean McSweeney has been described as like Mandelson's protege. It's like that's how close they kind of were. So it was all sort of
Imagine
messy.
Thinking that was a compliment. Like, oh, you're sort of Mandelson's protege. Oh, thank you. Like, sort of fanning yourself. I mean, that's one of the problems that apparently Wes Streeting's got, is he was, you know, the heir apparent on the right, but he's obviously got close ties, or he's associated with Mandelson. Mandelson!
Christ almighty. Well, what I've loved it in the last like 24 hours is I've never known the press to talk about the Prime Minister being depressed. I mean, I've seen this in like 3 or 4 different places coming up. Apparently he's depressed.
It's really down.
And that's what they're putting out. And you go, I've never heard that. I've never heard that about Theresa May, and her premiership was pretty depressing.
Oh, you sort of presumed it in a way.
Yeah. I mean, she did cry on election night, quite obviously. It was sort of a given.
It didn't look like party time at May Towers.
I think the game is, because without McSweeney, who is he? And I think that's why it's like, if I'm getting rid of McSweeney, I may as well just go first. But I think it is safe to say that Starmer has spent the weekend contemplating his exit, whether he goes or not. But you know, if he goes now, he can design his own exit. If he waits till the by-election or the local elections, it could be a bit of a bloodbath. And it'd be
like more like Mussolini getting dragged around the market square sort of thing.
Yeah, it really will be. And I think if he left, I mean, the problem is he has, if he had any respect, it's sort of gone now. If he had any authority, it's sort of gone now. What's really interesting about McSweeney as well is if you think of what the job of chief of staff does, is they sort of run number 10. And one of their main jobs is to kind of who gets to see the Prime Minister and who doesn't, who comes in and out of the office. And I'm no Laura Kuenssberg, Jeff, but the couple of Labour MPs that I've spoken to over the last sort of 12 months, because our paths are crossed, but both of them I've never met him. I've never met him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He has no communication with his MPs and they all fucking hate him for it.
Starmer has very recently, though, kind of identified that as a bit of a problem, that he doesn't speak to any of the people that work for him. But the problem is, it's like a dad. You know, like when you're 18, your dad never really did the dad stuff with you. And then he's like, do you want to play catch in the garden? Yeah. And you're like, yeah, I've got a girlfriend now. You know, I've got a part-time job. We're past catching phase.
What most people think.
It is hard not to take some sort of pleasure in some of the ironies that this Labour government are facing, because, you know, they did, when you ride in saying 14 years of chaos.
Yeah.
And I hope you give me a bit of respect for waiting that long to do my impression. But,
I was wondering where that was. I mean, what are you going to do if Starmer goes? Because basically, Jeff, this is your fucking shtick now. This is basically
Operation Save Starmer. Well, I was thinking of starting a hashtag called Operation Save Starmer, not because he's good, he is shit, but all the alternatives would tax and spend us into fucking oblivion. I don't think it's the snappiest hashtag, though.
Yeah.
But they came in and they said, you know, we're going to have politics that treads more lightly on your lives. And they might say, well, all right, we're seeing there's some sort of continuity between how the Tories operated at the heart of government and Labour. I would say that the Tories had more existential shit to deal with. You know, they had Brexit, which you could say was self-inflicted because they called the referendum, but they also had COVID. You know, they also had, the Ukrainian invasion and the energy shock. When you look at winter fuel, like welfare, there's been a lot of things where Labour have kind of done this sort of to themselves. So
without a doubt, it's so many own goals. And I think McSweeney is the problem, right? If you look at their opening gambit being the winter fuel thing, which is still like round a millstone round their neck, not because it was the worst policy, it just went far too fast, far too quickly, but because of the manner in which that policy was given to us, and also the fact it was the first thing they did. But I would say McSweeney was in charge of that. I mean, Mandelson is obviously the biggest problem. What's interesting about that is there's not a huge amount that's come out that we kind of didn't know before, that wasn't public domain about Mandelson. We all knew
it was public domain, but it wasn't public knowledge. That's what I think is the difference. I think the public are kind of like, there's a whole bunch of facts here. No one's put it in a timeline for me. So when Badenoch pressed him and said, at the point you give him the job, did you know he'd stayed friends with a nonce? He went, yes, I did. And that was like, wow. So that now, most of the public will now know that, whereas they might not have been, clear about it before. I mean, some people are saying that there's a chance here for kind of Starmer, because I don't think he thought it was a great idea to appoint him, but he has been pushed around and he hasn't followed his own convictions. He's a massive delegator. People thought he's forensic. He's not, as I said on a post at the weekend, he's the kind of guy that asks ChatGPT what to have for lunch. And so do I, but that's one of many reasons I'm not fucking Prime Minister. And I'm wondering what the play for him, if he wants to remain, it would have to be so profound to say, look, I've been guilty of not following my instincts, but he cannot talk authentically. See, Sunak was a weirdo and talked like a weirdo, but you felt like he was being exactly the weirdo that he was.
And also, even occasionally when he was would have a puff piece, in the run up to the election, you have to go on the fucking One Show, and actually, Rishi sort of came across as, well, in that way that very expensively educated people do. They do kind of know how to have a conversation and be polite and sort of, David Cameron, obviously a fucking expert at that. With Keir Starmer, I'm sure that he has talent somewhere, right? And I do think from what I can see, is from what we can't see really, is behind closed doors when it comes to the international stage, he quite often walks away with his head held high, with people going, oh, yeah, he seems to be pretty good. And if he can bring a bit of that out so that we can kind of fucking see it.
Well, so I remember I saw him on Sunday Brunch once, and I thought, oh, that guy, like if you could just talk a little bit like that guy. And then recently he was on Matt Ford's podcast, and I love Fordy. I like his podcast. It was genuinely weird though. Like there was obviously a lot of fans of his in the room. He got like a rock star reception. It was really genuinely quite incongruous how popular Keir Starmer was in that one room.
That's difficult to imagine, isn't it? Starmer walking on stage and people like it's no sort of Jeremy Corbyn at Glastonbury, is it?
It really was quite strange. But then the moment that a camera, so even when he did the apology on Friday, so like a lot of the press was saying, oh, it's the most like sincere, and I thought, no, I still don't think it was sincere, because he adopts that rhythm when he talks, and he just can't let whoever he is. That's why maybe his real voice even sounds completely different from the one he has, because it just gets just up to his throat, and then it just gets strangulated by some other fucking impulse. Maybe he's got like a real geezer voice. Like you actually heard him talk normally.
I've spoken to a few people who've sort of met him at kind of receptions or something, when you're supposed to be sort of charming and kind of, and apparently if you're not talking about policy or football, he's got nothing. And it's like this kind of, he can talk to you about football. So I suppose that there is, basically, I wouldn't be able to talk to him, because it would just be, policy, I'd have a go at him. Yeah. So
you'd let me down.
Apparently he's really kind of socially awkward in real life if you're not talking about specifically what he can talk about,
It's interesting you mentioned socially awkward. If you look at Labour's last 4 leaders, right? Oh, Gordon Brown, bit weird. Ed Miliband, bit weird. Jeremy Corbyn, very weird. Keir Starmer, pretty weird. Is the key to just not pick a weirdo? And I know that you can say, like, Rishi Sunak, an unusual guy. Liz Truss, genuinely weird.
She's genuinely weird.
Genuinely off the... But Boris Johnson had something. David Cameron definitely had something.
Yes, there was an odd charisma about Boris. Love him or loathe him. But...
So is the key going forward for Labour is, as we wrap up this bit, don't pick somebody weird?
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because who've they got to choose? I wonder if Keir Starmer is regretting not letting Burnham go in the by-election, because right now you kind of go that would oddly be a handover, and I'm sure many of your listeners can't bear Burnham and know plenty of reasons why, but he does come across as oddly normal and fairly well media trained, and him in number 10, you go, I do wonder whether that is Labour's last hope to win another election.
So Starmer, if he does want to go, he could have just gone, right, and he's clearly got leadership capability.
Yeah, but weirdly, yeah.
Now he might have to do a long gardening leave that he doesn't want to do because of his own manoeuvring. Okay, so as well as the tour shows I've got this week, I've got Derby coming up, Salford, Wellingborough, Bedford's pretty much sold out, Cheltenham is close, High Wycombe is close, Maidenhead is sold out, Leamington Spa, Carlisle coming up in the next few weeks. But that man, Jonathan Pye's out again soon, isn't he?
He is, at the end of the year. I start sort of warm-up shows in September, October, November. So it's like 3-4. I like a short, sharp shock, Jeff, you see, particularly when in politics and things change. So
that makes sense.
I have started writing it, and I'm really excited. Weirdly, I'm never normally excited to go on tour. I'm normally terrified, but it's the last tour I did, to be honest, was in the run up to a general election.
You had such a touch. You got it all out before.
I just got it all out just before the election, but also from a writing point of view, I kind of let myself off the hook, and it was an hour and 15 minutes of 14 years of the fucking Tories, and it's like it was the right thing for the right time. But this is a bit more of interesting times. So
are some of the people on Threads not going to like some of what you say about the Labour government?
Well, I've got to get a big Labour rant in there. But what's interesting, and from Pie's point of view, it's the same position I'm in. You go, Pie feels like he's lost his teeth because you go, the difference between the cunts from, the Tory cunts from a few years ago and the cunts that are in now is I voted for these cunts. So and it is weirdly really different.
I've been there. It's so wonderful for me to see somebody, when you vote for something and it all goes to shit. Is just give me a call if you ever need any advice on how to get through the dark nights.
Of course. But can I just tell people to go and buy tickets for The End of the World, according to Jonathan Pie, at jonathanpie.com.
All right, so bit nostalgia. We're going to do a bit of woke nonsense. So last week, Merlin Entertainments, who do, I think, Alton Towers, they do like a lot of the big theme parks. They come out and said that they were no longer going to offer queue jump passes to people with ADHD and anxiety. First of all, I didn't know that was a thing, but a bit like SEND at schools. It's been on the rise, right? And I'll leave it to me to be the controversial edgelord and say I don't think all of the people currently claiming those things, not all of them are completely legitimate. There, I said it.
Well, I'm going to I'll pipe in there. I think you're probably right. For a start, right? If you've got anxiety to a point where you've sort of got a doctor's note for it, what the fuck are you doing going on a roller coaster?
I would have thought that theme parks are arguably the worst place to go. Lots of people queuing is anxiety inducing, screaming kids, everything's overpriced, rides are literally there to scare you. So I don't understand how your anxiety only exists in the queue,
but not on the roller coaster.
But not on the fucking roller coaster. You're upside down on Mandrill fucking mayhem. I mean, but the thing about queue jumps at these places, they don't fully get you completely past the queue either. And I say that as somebody who really forgot his roots, paid for it at Legoland, and then when I realised I didn't get to just walk on the ride and had to join the queue near the front, how quickly I became entitled, like, for fuck's sake, I've paid for this, these fucking scumbags. So I do think that they've got a point. And also you get certain charities that pipe up. And look, if you really do have that level of anxiety, but you really do love theme park rides, there's definitely a percentage of people for whom this was potentially a reasonable thing of inclusion. But the idea that it's not being fucking gamed into death, I know this because God rest her soul, and I because we didn't have much money as a kid, my mum would have said to me, right, son, put on the fucking headphones.
Oh, yeah.
And the noise cancelling glass.
You're ahead of me here, really. I mean, when this came up, I thought of my mother, and I thought she'd have definitely like that. I grew up in the 80s when like things like drink driving was still socially acceptable. And I remember my mum parking in a disabled parking bay and saying, Tom, get out and limp. So, of course, she would have been. I mean, I don't know if I'm misremembering that, but that sounds like my mother. It's just pretend you've got a limp. So, definitely, if there was a queue, can you just, and also it's like one of the few times where if your kid is thick as mince, and there's a queue, you just go, he's thick. Can we get on? Yeah,
that has got to count.
I just need to explain to your woke listenership. Back in my day, ADHD was called thick. I know things have moved on. But,
and look, it is better that we don't call it thick anymore, but equally we need to be historically accurate. And we will get letters for this. Because the thing about, it's similar when I did that post about the price of tea, and then I had people who ran, even though I said I was talking only about Costa, people who ran independent coffee shops said, well, we're really struggling now.
What, because of what you said? Or
because I said that tea was overpriced because at least coffee's parts and labour, whereas tea's just fucking hot water and milk. But there will be people listening to this that feel personally attacked who do have children suffering with this. But my issue is that there are things that might not be as available. Like I used to be a goalkeeper, right? Believe it or not. And then because I was tall when I was a kid, and then I stopped growing, right? And then eventually people just kept lobbing me. And you can't say that they have to bring the crossbar down. I mean, maybe it's a philosophical question. Do you bring the crossbar down? to stop people lobbing me? Or do you just accept maybe goalkeeper isn't a position that's suitable for me?
I mean, you're absolutely right, but it is. I think we're out of that massive. The Overton window has shifted somewhat, so that kind of woke liberal consensus is kind of done now, and we're sort of. There needs to be a balance whereby if you are different in some way, special, as we used to call it in a good way, special needs, or you have special requirements. We live in a society where society will adapt, or it's possible to adapt to suit your own personal needs. But there becomes a point where you go, if we adapt society to deal with everybody's specific needs or opinions or sensitivities, then the world kind of doesn't work. And I think we're sort of out the end of that hypersensitive arena whereby, I was offended by what you said, therefore I think you should be cancelled. I think we're out the other end of that. But it's the same kind of with this. If Alton Towers is going to have to close down because everybody's got ADHD, then it's kind of a necessity.
I would love to know that when they say, then they said an exponential rise in the amount of claims. I would love to just see that graph, because that is the kind of thing that goes around like fucking wildfire on a mum's WhatsApp group, and just like, like selling a dodgy fire stick at a pub. It's the kind of blag that everyone wants to get on because it feels like such a touch.
We got on log flume within 3 minutes. Go for it. Yeah.
Okay, for everybody else, it'll be the end of the show, but in the Patron only, we'll be talking about Bad Bunny, the Puerto Rican artist singing exclusively in Spanish at the Super Bowl, and why he did that and whether the critics of that had a point. Okay, if you want to listen to a debate about Bad Bunny and immigration that somehow ended up with us establishing the Piers Morgan vegan sausage roll principle, and me being so uneducated, educated about the subject, I had to stop and Google halfway through.
I properly stumped you with that question.
You did,
didn't I?
You Paxman me there. So yes, do join the Patreon. You'll have access to all of that content and for previous shows. Tom, thanks so much for being on the show. Just to kind of as an out here, I mean, I don't like to bring it up, but I have been predicting since 2023 that Starmer would get in and not make 2 years as Prime Minister, partially because the left of the party would want to do more left-wing stuff. I didn't think it would be because he'd shoot himself in the foot as often as he did. So that you can check that, you can fact check that. I've been saying it for a while. Let's make a prediction now, me and you. How long do you think he's staying there?
How long we got? He's not going full term. That's.
I think that's fair.
I think that's done. It's always annoying when Nigel Farage is right, but even a stopped clock. But a few days ago, he said McSweeney will be gone in a couple of days, and Starmer will be gone either after the by-election or the locals. He's probably right, but there is something in me that feels, like I said, that Starmer is definitely having a discussion right now about, shall I go today? And he might be gone by the end of the week.
He'd be mad not to. I mean, I did a video sort of saying, like, just, on a human level, what does it feel like to be Keir Starmer now? And like having to go in and sort of like say hi to your wife, and she goes to ask you how your day was at work, and you're like, well, everyone fucking knows, right? And then all of your friends are just like, oh, just don't look up the news while he's there. Don't mention the news. Don't mention anything outside of five-a-side football. So it is, I mean, I would say this as well. I am getting a bit sick of people going, like, he's a decent man. When it comes to running country well, I don't actually give that much of a fuck.
I prefer a decent man to, Liz Truss. And that's not to do with her gender. That's to do with being decent or not. I do. I'll get into shit for this. I do think he has principles. I just don't think he has policies. I do.
But he's allowed his own principles. But that's what I think will be his biggest regret. I agreed. I think he did come into it with principles, and he's allowed his own principles. That's why his anger, saying, "Oh, Mandelson lied. He fucking lied again." I think he's actually angry with himself, because I bet you any money his instinct was to not give the guy the job.
Of course it was, and also if appointing Mandelson was a sackable offence. But if recommending Mandelson was a sackable offence, which McSweeney, that suggests that is the case, then accepting that advice is surely a resignation. The logic suggests that Starmer has to go. He has to. And I wish Burnham was there rather than Rayner. But
okay, well, just before we go, just let you know, I'm going to go on Threads and say that you said Starmer has to go and that you agree with Nigel Farage. I think that's a fair characterisation.
I did tweet last week. I went, is it just me or is it time for Starmer to fuck off? And I think people were like, Pie's finally, the penny's dropped with Pie.
Or you've gone full right-wing Nazi. Listen, people should definitely check out your tour at the end of the year. And I can say with almost 100% confidence there'll be a breaking news episode later this week.